Welcome back to the O.G Minifans Show on the Kirk Minahan Network. I'm Steve from Providence with TJ Hubbard and Tim from Canton. Boys, how we doing?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Doing
We just had an
great.
exciting baseball card show.
I watched that, and I have to tell you, that's something that I really enjoy because I think that a big percentage of the audience that at least listens to Kirk, I'm sure a lot of them came over from EEI, and I'm sure a ton of them at some point in time in their life collected some sort of sports memorabilia, whether it be like signed hats or baseballs or something like that, baseball cards. Like that's just something that can resonate. It kind of brings you back a little bit because you see maybe some of the cards that you had and that you probably just threw away, just like so many of us did when we were younger.
Little known fact: Mark Grace was Big Cat's favorite player growing up.
Train derailed.
Here we go. It's gonna happen tonight.
Here comes the vortex. I got a lot of stories for you guys tonight.
I love it.
I know you want it.
I love it.
But no, I really like that. I hope you guys do that. I mean, if you don't do it every week, but at least I hope you stay with that and maybe have some other people on like Gig and Madawaska Rob, who I personally have a man crush on the both of them. I don't know what the fuck it is.
I'm with you. Love them both.
Length after and come to find out, we got a lot of friends in common. A lot of we know a lot of the same people. Him and I look like we're cut from the same ilk. I mean, music, cards, everything. Great. He's a good shit. There's a few other people reached out to me that want to probably get on at some point for the show. You guys all right? I mean,
yeah, no. What do you want me to do?
You guys both mute me there?
I thought you were going to tell a story.
I
didn't want to interrupt.
Like I think something like that's necessary because instead of just like this show, we recap things going on during the week or talk about some stuff that's up and coming. I think it's good that there's like not everyone's going to invent trivia like myself, but there's different ideas that come around and I like that. That's something different.
Yeah, and
I was the first one to open a pack of baseball cards live on the internet.
Yes, you were. And you had some good suggestions, Steve, for the next show. So TJ and I talked earlier today about kind of the format. So I think we have I think we found some guys that would be great for a regular show, and RA, Rob, and Gig. And I think TJ and I already talked about different things we can do on the show. But I got to say, I was surprised at how many people responded to us and said, "Oh, I get this, that, or the other," and asking questions about certain things. So, as dorky as it is, I had a blast. I love talking about that stuff.
Yeah, I think you guys should definitely explore that.
Cool. It was fun, and you didn't collect any cards or nothing growing up, Steve. Just GI Joe.
No, I loved GI Joe. I know,
sure you did.
I wasn't into it. Like my oldest boy is into it right now, big time. He's into that and collecting Jordan sneakers, and he sells them. Yeah. Kid, he gets he applies all these raffles and then he sells them to some poor guy in Honduras or something like that. It's fucking amazing what he does.
My son does the same. You could wear them once and sell them, and they sell for huge money. I don't get it.
It's crazy. But so today the show dropped. They dropped the show. I think it was at midnight.
Midnight RSS feed.
Yeah, it was an hour. So Tim, what did you think about the show overall?
We're so used to long shows. So when I saw it was just over an hour or something, I thought, it's half of what it usually is. And I remember they're on vacation, and it was jam-packed with it was just one after another. I almost had to pull over because I like making a couple notes here and there. Mike stuff, the Steve stuff, the spelling, the subway. Forget even the current events. It was just great material today.
Yep. Tim? TJ?
I took away like what Kirk was saying about Barstool, how none of them came to the defense of themselves. They're being called a lot of stuff, trying to get canceled. And Dave, like Kirk said, Dave came after a little bit, but the other guys kind of just don't want to stick their toe in that cold water yet. So and I understand that to an extent. You don't want to get mixed up with people and then get into fights on the internet and shit. Just fucking, get rid of it, or just don't even respond.
So I was looking through today, and some guy JDM, who I think Latino Kirk was going back and forth with throughout the day. I don't know how it started. I think maybe he might have went back into some old tweets or something like that. But it started to get a little thick at a point in time, and the guy posted a message saying that I already had a conversation with your leader, and he put the DM up online on his feed, and it was pretty much Kirk just doing like he always does. He said, I seen your tweets. Do you want to come on and talk about it? And the guy, obviously, he just shut down pretty much after that. And then right after that, I was looking through the guy's timeline, and tonight that Barstool was having I don't even know how to say it.
So I have the name here. It's called Now It's Going to Get Extremely Real. And it was in response. Kirk had reached out because whoever that poster was from Barstool had mentioned something about the Kirkman show. And then he mentioned about his questioning Adam Jones, and then went to the Boston is a racist city.
Okay. So we went right there. He went right there. And just like, once again, I think we talked about it last week. I had always said Kirk is very quick to defend. Not that he takes it personally, but I think anyone would if they said, like, you live in a bad neighborhood, or your house is trash. Like, you pretty much jump to not the defense, but you kind of like, you want some points. You want something to reference off of your decision to pretty much say that. And these guys do not come back on. The guy said, no, I'm all set coming back. I'm all set coming on. If you want to call me, you can call me. I'm kind of confused. So you got Dave Portnoy, who the other day went off on that, I don't know, it was maybe like 10-minute long video, to which he pretty much, and I like what he said, I'm not going to apologize or change or anything that I did in the past. It was what it was. And pretty much like what Kirk said, you can't. A lot of things that he said in the past, he would not say today. But as far as like all the this is what cancel culture is. I was confused at one time what cancel culture was, exactly what it related to. Right now, you're seeing it, because whether it's a statue or they're even putting up about Mount Rushmore today, everything is going to get friggin' removed. Everything that had something at one point in time.
The Times put out a Mount Rushmore. Like, two of the guys need to go away, and the guy that did Mount Rushmore owned slaves or was heavily into the KKK or something like that. You can't just cancel everything out, and that's what they do. No, basically what's going on is they want to cancel the history of America.
Yes.
That's what's happening.
Yes.
The eventual goal is.
I think what's hitting our world is it's a microcosm of the bigger issue, which is there's no discussion. I mean, the fact that this guy had said those things in response to Kirk, and then he won't come on.
Yeah.
For me, it just says, well, then, I don't know if I could take what you say. But remember that Kirk had somebody on, I forget what it was for, but he did have somebody on that had some views about racism, and he was a minority. You know what? It was awesome. I learned a lot that day. I will say,
get that guy. Yeah.
All of us will listen to anybody. But when you won't even come on after throwing things out there, you just throw them out there. It's almost like throwing it against the wall and see what the response will be. And this goes right back to where this all started with Jamel Hill. And then you don't want to forget arguing. You won't even discuss it, and at least get different viewpoints and walk away and say, either we can now agree more or we don't agree, but at least we can discuss it. That's the biggest problem I think we're having in this country, because all of us as individuals are being kept from discussing things with other people that we don't necessarily agree with or see eye to eye with. And when we actually do discuss, it's amazing how much common ground there actually is. It always amazes me.
Well, go ahead, TJ. Sorry.
They just want you to think a certain way, and if you don't think that way, then you're evil. And we can't say the one. We can't really say just that show, the title of that show on Barstool. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't care. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, you should probably not put that as a headline.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, if they want to talk about it one way, and then it's all right if you do. It's not all right any way you put it. I don't think it's all right to even say that word. So I don't know.
But you know what? I would. But
expression of thought. I would the biggest problem.
I would love to hear their viewpoint. I really would. I think an open discussion is awesome.
The viewpoint.
I know you're not saying don't do it. I know.
I'm just saying the wording is kind of something you shouldn't use, in today's day and age. You know,
and I'd just like to hear their insight and their experience, frankly. You know,
and to go from
that.
Steve's argument is like, you know, like Dave said, you know, he's not going to apologize for anything he's ever done. You know what I mean? But we can all evolve. It's like one side is telling us that we've done something that we've never evolved. We can't evolve from that point in time where, you know, I might have said the bad words in the mid 90s to people. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
All right. So that stops there. No, I can never think it's worse. And how far back do we go in a timeline? I think Kirk brought it up today. Bill Simmons
an opportunity
going after Serena Williams when she was 18.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How far back do you go back? When is cancel culture going? You know, how far back does it go? Obviously, it goes back to Mount Rushmore, goes back to colonial times. So we can go all the way back to then. Well, I can tell you what, there's a lot of people shaking in their boots if you want to go back. So,
well, one of the three gentlemen on this show tonight, when he was, I don't know, 14, 15 years old, dressed up as Flavor Flav for Halloween. He went and got his clock off his. He went and got his clock off his parents' wall. Went full blackface. Didn't think anything of it at the time. Now, would I do it now? Absolutely not. But at the time, I didn't think anything of it. You know, like it's fucking crazy. It's fucking absolutely crazy what is going on right now. Like they're taking down in Rhode Island, and I see that they're doing all around the country. They're removing all the statues because they're just going to get fucking torn down. And I look at it like when I see a statue, I know it could be someone that maybe represented something many, many years ago. But I look at it, I'm like, all right, you know what? Some guy probably spent thousands of hours making that thing, and it just gets tossed to the ground and fucking burnt or dragged throughout the streets. It's fucking insanity.
Of course. I mean, it's so, you know, that statue that you're looking at, not only is it an artwork that someone took time out of it, you know, a massive amount of time to make, that person in that statue has a story to tell. And it's a historical reference that is being canceled out. That they don't want you to know about anymore. But this is this guy's story. He grew up in whatever fucking era it was. He grew up, and we're gonna erase his history. Just erase it. Like that guy's life didn't matter and didn't count. And it obviously did. But it had something to do with, you know, some of the guys in colonial times that, you know, we're talking about. They are founders of this country. Their ancestors went on to, you know, help develop the country. You know, it's weird that that's going on.
The part I cannot agree with Steve Robinson more, which is you want to take down a statue. So it just happened in Boston. They're taking a small group I had never heard of just voted to take down the Abraham Lincoln statue. What kills me is there's no discussion. You want to get together collectively as a community and take something down? Have at it. I'm all for it. Same way that things are erected, right? So when that stuff gets erected, and like you said, TJ, at that point in time, we can't measure people's. Well, I shouldn't say you can't measure their actions. Is evil is evil, right? But you can't necessarily apply today's rules to somebody in the past and say, well, this is the reason we have to take them down because of 2020. You absolutely should have a discussion, I think, about it and figure out, well, do we really think it merits keeping that up based on, I don't know, the overall picture or whatever it is that this person did. I just hate that we're not having a discussion. It's a rush to judgment. And look at what's happened with some of the protests. They're tearing down statues of abolitionists. That makes me want to throw up in my mouth to think.
Yeah, I mean,
people glorified this person for a great reason, and you don't even know why you're tearing it down. That kills me.
Yeah. What is the argument? What is the argument to getting rid of Abraham Lincoln? Because he's the first Republican president?
No, well, I think there's a lot of that. I think there's more of that and less of what the statue actually looked like. Is it a great statue? No, if I didn't know the history of it, I looked at it, I would think the same thing. Like, why is another human being bowing to somebody? Yeah. But then when you read where it came from, there's a lot of history behind it. No, do we not take those people's, their thoughts and feelings at the time? Yeah. They were freed slaves. They paid for it. Does that not matter?
Like thankful. Thankful. Hey, thank you. Isn't that what that statue represents? A thank you for doing what he did. And did he not do what he should have done?
Well, it did then, and the people who paid for it were direct. They were directly impacted by it. But I think the bigger question is when Kirk gets his statue made, is he going to have a palate expander or a retainer in
That
his mouth?
lisp is getting horrendous.
Because it's getting
'Cause-
tough to. He's going to be so mad at us for talking about this.
Now,
what's that Looney Tunes character? I wasn't Foghorn Leghorn. The kid. One of them.
That was the big rooster, you shithead.
Yes.
It was,
Now,
I say.
what's the character of the Looney Tunes that had that
it wasn't
Suffer and succotash.
Suffer and Succotash. It wasn't Sylvester.
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 But the problem is now I'm not even.
Said, good thing I didn't open a Shammy Shosha rookie card.
Yeah, Shammy Shosha.
Well, the problem is now with the show, which was just like today. I'm not even listening to the content anymore.
Mhm.
I'm listening to trying to listen to
Fixate.
hard S's.
Well, like you said, Steve, ever since you asked him if he was imitating Lou Holtz, that's all I can picture when I hear his voice and I don't see it. And that's all I can.
Do you remember what was that? There was a podcast that they were. It was maybe when they were at Red 13 or something like that. There was a podcast that they used to play the guy. He was this one guy, and he would talk, and his lisp was horrendous. And I guess word got back to him that we were all listening to it, and he started. He pretty much embraced it. He started making fun of himself. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah. I think he was a radio guy, right?
Yeah, he was a radio guy.
It's not the guy out of Philly that they gave the heart attack.
He had a heart attack. He came back on the air.
Yeah.
Oh God! Yes.
Heart attack or both. Yeah.
They fucking almost killed him.
Somebody in the chat would come up with this. Someone needs to figure out what that guy's name was. I can't remember for the life of me. And that was like maybe January of this year, right?
Yeah,
and then he almost died.
Yeah,
he almost died. Yes.
Yeah. Now,
but Mike did a good impression of him, I think.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Mike, that's right. Mike did a great impression of. It was like a nighttime show. And they say he's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
And like 2 weeks later, they find out he's in intensive care.
So the vacation, I guess, ends are they going to be back Monday? Is Monday when they come back?
It's supposed to be Monday.
Yeah, because all right, well that's good. I mean, it'll be now in the absence of the show.
Excuse me, it was Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Oh, Big Daddy.
Okay,
Daddy
that's
Graham.
why Justin's a great intern.
Big Daddy Graham.
Yes.
All right. So I mean, in the absence of the show, there has been a ton of YouTube shows. There's been it's like you guys did earlier today, and throughout the week. There's been I think maybe a few an hour or so, or 2 an hour. There's been a lot of them, and a lot of it I like because it's just getting a bunch of different people coming together. Kirk's made a couple of appearances on a few of the shows. It's good. I like the idea that
He came in today and opened those PTO cards. You like that?
You know, the odd thing is, like with R.A. Menahan doing something like that, like I just picture him like just like question marks and numbers and like just a whole bunch
like
of
the bubble above his head.
Yeah, just, just stats appearing out of nowhere. I bet Kirk would be pretty much the same way because he worked at a baseball card company, if I'm not mistaken, at some point in time.
He wrote. So I read a couple of things on the back of baseball cards. Steve, I know you were collecting Penthouse and Hustlers at the time, but we were collecting baseball cards, and you would get these just completely innocuous things. Like one I read today, so and so proposed to his fiance in November of last year. The fun facts. So that's what would be on the back of a baseball card is the stats, and then I mean the stats are the stats. I don't know what you're writing. Either it is what it is, but then you'd write a fun fact about that person. So I would love to know from Kirk. I think he wrote for Bowman, wasn't it, TJ?
Wasn't it I thought it was up a deck, but
was it up a deck?
I can't remember. One of the guys on the card show today read it was RA. Read the back of the card on the show. Yeah, but it has little blurbs
yeah,
like
that was me.
Gig came on, and on the back of the Roger Clemens cards he said Roger Clemens was not drafted, but almost drafted by the Supersonics and the Celtics as a basketball player. And he said that he asked Roger Clemens. And I remember the show because Clemens was up here in Portland. That he asked Clemens why didn't he sign with the Supersonics. So it's on the back. I'm sorry, but it's on the back of the card.
Yeah, those little tidbits. Yeah,
Tidbits.
those little fun facts.
Like,
Yeah.
Tim, when he talks, you might want to shut your mouth because a fly might go inside that fucking thing. This fucking guy goes. All right, so the YouTube shows, I think there's a few more of them. Then that comes to an end. I don't think that there is a Mike and the Minifans because it's 4th of July this weekend. But then
so
the show.
Steve, I'm sorry to interrupt. Since you're talking about the YouTube shows, were there any that you thought people should carry on with? Like we had already discussed doing a baseball card show because we're dorks, but any shows that you thought, hey, this wouldn't be bad going forward?
Well, there's one that I wanted that I hope does. The female Minifans were talking about doing a sex talk show, and I'm not saying to be a dick, but just stuff like that. Like I'll give it a fucking listen. Probably give it a grab. Probably give it a grab too while it's going on. But something that like in talking to Lauren or talking to Miss LK or Tara or something like that. I would like to hear the filth that goes on inside their fucking minds because I always get shit on for being a filthy pig. Why not let me hear what they have to say for themselves? I would like that. I don't know. I'm probably in the minority.
No, I would definitely watch that, listen to it. I agree with you. I think it was a lot. Most of the shows were more just fans getting on, like you said, and just chit chatting, filling up some time. You got to give give Mad Men his credit. He is the one that spearheaded getting that together, but he didn't waste any time becoming the, as I said, the Napoleon of New South Wales, the Warden Wombat himself. He took control, and he was not giving it up.
No,
good for him.
No.
He did a great
so before we just to close up about Barstool real quick. So going forward in the short term and the long term, do you think that they just try and do what they're doing now and just avoid the subjects totally and just hope that it passes by? What do you guys each think that is going to happen in the short term?
Again, sometimes it's left alone, it just fades away.
Yeah.
You know, if it doesn't fade away, you need to. If I was them, you need to take a stand. You know, you let it sit for a little bit. Let it sit for a bit. If it becomes a problem, that's when you have to step up. You have to say something. And I know a lot of the guys. Myself included, I don't like confrontation. I don't want to do that shit. I just want to open baseball packs and, do shit I want to do on the day and not worry about whether or not what this person thinks or what's going to happen, any of that shit. Some people are confrontational. Some people like it. Some people don't. So I don't know if some of the people again, if someone's calling you fucking racist and with no merit to that, and they call you a bunch of names, bigot and all that stuff, then you have to come out and say something. With Jamel Hill, just trying to cancel Barstool. I mean, Dave said something. I think Erica kind of was wishy-washy, but it's hard. It's hard because you don't want to. I mean, there's a definite. The cancel culture is crazy. I saw the thing. Kirk retweeted something about CNN's asking why Home Depot still advertises with Facebook.
Yeah.
Like what? I mean,
that's a whole.
So CNN is going after fucking advertisers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
So
crazy.
Kirk has dealt with that firsthand, as we all know. So I think as much as I sometimes Portnoy drives me crazy, I think this is where he is brilliant. He will just move on. Goodbye, done. Back to Davey Day Trader. I think he has said his piece, and he's not going to let it bother him. And I think that's one of his greatest strengths. And I think that's great. I think he said what he had said. He is who he is, and he apologized for anything he did. And that's it. Let's move on. I mean, you can only whip a dead horse for so long.
All right, that's a good point.
What about you?
What are you going to get a 19-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid to say right now? They don't even have any life experience. I mean, you pretty much got to depend on maybe 10 people that have been there over 10 years to pretty much stand ground for the whole company. If you're just going to ask my honest opinion, but there is another thing that I want to talk about today. The show hinted on it last week, I believe it was some big changes coming to WEI and Intercom. And Tim, today you told me that what is it, 101.5? Was it 101.5?
101.5 FM out of Concord Lakes region, New Hampshire. a WEI. I don't know if you call it an affiliate. I guess you would, because they do broadcast the WEEI programs.
Yeah.
Is no longer on the air. You can't access their there's no website for them. It just says access denied. There's nothing being broadcast. So I think it's the first nail in the Entercom coffin.
Well, this is going to happen because as big as Entercom is, you can only lose money for so long. It just, regardless of, like, Pizza Hut just filed for bankruptcy, and their pizza sucked for fucking years. Like, there is just going to be, there's only so long that this is going to go on, and then they're going to have to step back and say, look, in order to even save the company as a whole, we got to make a lot of changes. And it's not necessarily just WEEI. It's probably radio in general. But locally for us, we all have a connection to our local radio station, and we have an interest in what goes on there, because for the most part, I would say between the three of us, we only have maybe one or two people that we actually listen to, or maybe even somewhat support in that whole place.
Sure.
Do you think, so if I was to say at this time next year, just say the three of us are still doing this, we're still hiding out from people, and for a half an hour on a Wednesday, we're getting drunk and talking about things. Is WEEI still on the air next year at this time?
Yes, they are.
You think so?
No,
I do.
They're not.
But
and wait, in this format, is this format?
Yeah, we'll say in this format.
I would say sooner or later they're gonna have to, like, they're just filling the national CBS radio. I know up here the Big Jab throws up Jim Rome, which is CBS Radio now. So I don't know if their affiliate will still stick around up here or not.
Yep.
But, maybe they have Greg Hill in the morning and the rest of it's just syndicated.
Yeah. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I got to amend my answer. So I think TJ is right. I think it'll just be CBS programming. One show, like most of the rest of the country is like that anyway. We're very, very rare. Us, New York, Chicago, all the big cities. You get outside the big cities, it is nothing but rebroadcast, same shows, repeated. I think all the local talent, goodbye. Unfortunately, I think they're all gone. We thought Ordway was gone today. I think every one of those guys is GONE gone. I only hope Mutt gets to stay. I love the guy. I do enjoy his show. I know we're not supposed to listen to him. I don't care. I love his show. I love the guy, but I think they're all gone. I mean, you go into New Hampshire, these guys are paying for their own show.
I'll tell you what. If Mutt gets canned, the next day, that son of a bitch better be on this show the next Wednesday. There's no way. If he gets canned, he should be right on here with us.
Well, I think it goes.
But I have one more point here, is that Red Sox contract is up in 3 years. And I know the Red Sox are starting again by the end of the month, or July 15th. Baseball starts again. And that's probably going to save EEI for up until football season, up until October. But once October and November rolls around again, they'll fall off the map. And if next April's delayed at any point, and this is what's killing them, is because this COVID-19, the delay in the baseball season is really killing them. Because the Jab up here touts that it's the home of the Red Sox. This is where you're going to listen to the Red Sox.
I think I actually think they're dodging a bullet, because EI pays for the rights to the Red Sox, which kills me. And then they listen to what the Red Sox dictate their programming should be, regardless of what Sam Kennedy says. Kirk was right. The Sox are going into some very bad years coming up. Nobody is going to be listening or watching the Sox. Nobody. They are going to suck.
Well, I would also say it gives a lot of credence to, even going back to as far as when Dino was there, that they always hit on sports, but they always talked about other things. Mm-hmm. And that's why they always had a huge audience that transcended throughout the rest of the day. And Kirk, I remember listening, he would be open about it on the show. He wanted to change things, how the station was run, and say, listen, you can't just talk about sports all day long, that you also have to touch on other hot topics. And if they would have maybe embraced that, say 5 or 6 years ago, maybe they would be better suited towards what is going on right now. But they can't. In their mind, they're so set on what's going on in sports. And since there was really nothing going on right now, they're fucked. They're absolutely dead in the water.
They're completely out of touch. And as Pete Shepard once said, sinkingship.com.
That was a
Couldn't
great
be more
meltdown.
true.
That was
That was. Took a
and that
little
was
more.
with that was with
that.
Portnoy, wasn't it? Wasn't it with Portnoy that he did that?
It was. It was.
That's
I
a
think it was.
Patriots thing, right?
It was
Yeah.
with Portnoy. Yeah, he had a
Now,
fucking meltdown.
I just don't, I don't see any of them hanging. They don't have the Patriots, and they don't have the Celtics.
Yeah,
they have the Red Sox, which in my mind is they're right below the New England Revolution in regards to relevancy in New England right now. I know people are like, oh, it's the Red Sox, it's great. No, they got rid of one of their star players in Mookie Betts. They're trying to save money. Chris Sale doesn't have an arm anymore. It got cut off. It looks like Jim Abbott, for fuck's sake. That team, they squandered it. The ownership is a complete fucking disaster. They're idiots. And now no one.
But guys,
they're talking about, hey, why don't you buy one of these masks and all this? And you look over at Gillette Stadium, and they're feeding fucking veterans. They're buying masks and having them shit here. And the Globe still shits all over the fucking New England Patriots. Meanwhile,
I mean the same owner that built the YMCA for people, and you never even hear about, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, we don't even hear about that.
And then they support all the programs through there,
trying to do everything. Oh, geez, Belichick never says anything about race. It's like, what the fuck? I mean,
but I will say this though. Don't forget where sports talk may be on the decline. Look at how bad, what you call it, 98.5 is crushing EEI. Yeah. And they only talk sports. They're crushing it. So there is a listenership out there. EEI ain't it.
But like over the last, I just spoke a little bit about the Globe and all that stuff. That's what should be talked about on the radio. Not whether, Cam Newton, how do you think he's going to do? You think his arm's going to hold up? All right, great. Great.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we all hope
why don't you talk
so.
about the dynamic of
talk about it?
Well, yeah, I know, but still, that wears thin, and you have other things. You have other things to talk about. This the bullshit that's within the media and the ownership of the Red Sox, as you know, and Globe, the whole 9 yards. There's a lot more there than sports, and Steve's right when he says that. Oh, if you just stick to sports, well, look what happened. Yeah.
Well, is there anything that you gentlemen would like to touch on before we leave? Any final thoughts before we get out of here? TJ, here's the thing. I love you.
I know.
I gotta get Justin's gonna somehow figure out a button for me to just like when you go off on these fucking tangents. Yeah, you didn't today. I'll give you credit. Today you didn't. Today you didn't. And me and Tim have a little secret conversation behind your back.
It's my favorite.
No, I heard it all. I heard the whole conversation. Don't worry about it.
Don't stop being you, TJ. You are my aphrodisiac, my opiate.
Now, did you save any of those baseball cards from tonight to open up in the front of your pickup truck tonight at a convenience store when you get your scratch tickets? Did you save it?
I might have.
Because I can't get away from it. I say, all right, let me just check.
Every time I go down to the local store here and I sit in that truck. All right, let's go live. Let's open a couple packs. It never fails. Some moron comes up to the truck and I have to have a conversation with him. And it was the last time.
Billy Swift.
Yeah, Billy Swift, couldn't believe it. Last time I convinced this guy he had to take a large Q-tip up the tip of his penis in order to test for COVID. And guy kind of believed me for a while.
Tim, what do you got?
TJ, it is out of admiration that we have these conversations. I told Steve today, you are my heroine. I can't get enough. I know that's a bad analogy, and I apologize to any addicts out there, but I can't get enough. I love the periscopes. I love the stories.
I did a complete appraisal viewing today while on the phone with Tim and Canton.
Yes, you did.
The whole house, all 3 floors, measured everything, took all my photos while I was talking to him. And it didn't, that's how I've been doing this for so goddamn long that it's just second nature to me now.
And it was total enjoyment on my behalf. But is there anything now, Steve? This is where we're going to drop you, and TJ and I are going to stay on for like another hour.
Well, I might as well let him tell the fucking story. So I'm making my son breakfast this morning.
Oh, I got one too.
I don't know, it was about 8:30 this morning.
Apple Puffs?
No, not Apple Blast. I was making him. I was making them scrambled eggs. You fucking dick. But my phone rings and it's TJ.
Get the
TJ,
eggs
why
out
don't
of
you?
the bird nest in the front yard.
TJ, I'll give you 2 minutes. Tell your story about this morning when you were driving with
All
your
right.
wife.
So my wife and I, we had to go return our DirecTV box at some point out of the FedEx. And hey, you want to go grab some lunch? Yeah. What do you want to go for? No, there he goes.
No,
so
he's on.
he's already got the story. So I want to shout out real quick to the 207 Main Twitter handle. I think his name was Adam. I was coming through the toll booth.
By the way, did you just call it the FedEx?
The FedEx, yes. And
that is so mean. So you had to bring it to the FedEx?
Yes. And then and it's like when we call it the Hannafids.
Yes. Yeah.
This guy's like, I go to give this guy $1, and he looks at me and goes, "Are you TJ Hubbard?" I was like, "Yeah."
Jesus.
Did we graduate together? He's like, "No, I'm a big Minifan." So shout out to 207 Minifan Adam. Good little talk going through the toll booth. We'll call him Toll Booth Willie. I like that one.
All right.
Way better. But no, not all right. I had you called me this morning and you discussed your reaction with chicken. Now, and how chicken doesn't really sit well with you, and it's like a ticking time clock, right? And it didn't. Now listen.
Wait a minute. All right. So this is about a ticking what? A time clock or a time bomb?
Time bomb clock. Here we go. So he tells me that, right? So after my wife and I go to lunch, we go to Saku and I get a super helping of teriyaki chicken. I couldn't make it home fast enough. I painted the backseat of my toilet. Nothing I could do about it. And so you're right. Sometimes the chicken just doesn't sit well with you. Are you going to make it, Steve?
With that, we will hopefully see you guys next Wednesday. And I hope everyone. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Kirk, Mike, and Steve. Thank you, intern Justin, and happy 4th of July. Take care.
Happy 4th of July.